Now, MP Stella Creasy has complained after being told off for bringing her 3-month-old baby into the House of Commons, saying mothers in the mother of all parliaments are not to be seen or heard, it seems. Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab has said it's up to the relevant authorities to decide on the right balance for politician parents. But should MPs be allowed to take their baby to work? I mean, that image there is actually a really quite welcoming one, isn't it, Linda?
Yeah.
But
and it's a tiny baby, isn't it? I mean, what do they do at that age? They eat, sleep and go to the toilet, poo. That's all. But I took my kids everywhere with me. I mean, there was one time when I was going to Australia to do Grumpy Old Women, and I was going out there for 3 months, and I said, I'll only go if I can take my children with me. I went to the school, spoke to the teachers, and they said they just had to do a diary every day. And they didn't interfere with anything. They were probably about 9 and 13 at the time. And they had the time of their life, honestly. They were really well behaved. I think it depends on the age of the child. Obviously, you can't take a toddler into the House of Commons, because they'll, like my granddaughter...
Because there's enough in there.
Yeah.
Screaming and shouting.
Because my granddaughter Betsy, you couldn't take her because she'd be under the table, she'd be climbing over everything. But I think it depends on the age of the child as well. I mean, if you can sit them in a corner with a book and do some colouring or whatever, then, yeah, it's fine. I managed to make it work wherever I was. So when I did panto, they'd be in the dressing room when I was on stage, and they absolutely loved it. And they learnt so much from being in those different places with me.
But again, it depends on the job, I suppose, doesn't it? You were very lucky, Linda, that you were in that environment and the people around you allowed it to happen. But that just can't happen in every job.
No. I mean, I think with it, government ministers only in April this year were finally given 6 months paid maternity leave. They hadn't had it up to that point. Backbench MPs still don't get it. So I think there's a little bit of a point being made here as well. I mean, you can bring your baby into, like, the division lobby outside, but you're not really supposed to, under the rules, bring them into the chamber. But as we can see there, he was behaving very well. But, you know, say it was a screaming baby and it's a place of debate and you can't hear what's going on, then it would be a different story. But I think a lot of people watching this are just going to go, it's just a complete indulgence because, you know, if you work in a factory, you can't take your baby into work because of health and safety. If you're a surgeon or a nurse, you can't walk in, you know, treating people with a baby strapped to your front. You can't do it on the checkout at a supermarket. So it's kind of a very niche thing, I think. And I get that female MPs want to sort of encourage more women to come into politics. But I think for a lot of women watching that, they will just say, well, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not in a job where I could ever bring my child to work. And that's sort of why we have maternity leave. So, you know, you get paid to stay at home for a certain amount of time, and then you're supposed to get sort of childcare help, state help if you need it, to be able to then go back to work and get somebody else to help to look after your child.
But could this be the beginning of the change? Is this what needs to happen potentially to try and create our employers and businesses to create that environment?
I think if you work somewhere where they could allow you to bring your baby to work and they're just being, you know, difficult about it, then yes. But I don't think it should become something. I mean, a female airline pilot, for example, flying a plane, she's not going to have a baby strapped to her front. So, you know, I don't know.
Also, it's kind of... I always think about people who don't have kids, you know, and I understand sometimes why they get a bit like, oh, so she's got time to go and sort the child out or feed the baby, but I've still got to stay here and do another hour's work. Or, you know, I can kind of... But I see it from both sides. I know how hard it can be for some women to, you know, get childcare, or their wages don't actually pay for because childcare is very expensive. So I do think it would be down to employers to maybe look into more nurseries and creches at the workplace.
And it is tough for women when you take a bit of time out on maternity at all, just to get yourself back into the workplace, getting your confidence back a little bit. Maybe if this were to allow you to take your baby with you early doors, you're not away for that long, would that help?
If I had maternity leave, I can't wait to get back to work. Leave that child at home.
But even this morning, if we're all sitting this morning having our chats like we do, and I had my little 8-month-old who's teething and a bit moany, I know that would have changed the entire dynamic of what our morning meeting was.
It would have been lovely.
But also, I think, you know, if you look at the statistics, women's earning power falls off a cliff at 29. And what's the kind of average thing at 29 is that we have babies. So, I mean, I think that successive governments have struggled to find ways to bring women back into the workplace because, you know, we do need to have babies. That's what's going to keep the population going.
Yeah, I agree. But what do we feel about, never mind children, what do we feel about bringing dogs to work?
Oh.
I mean, that's
I could have
just...
4 of them now sitting here.
And goats.
And goats. Could have cats walking. I mean, it'd be fabulous.
Chickens,
We'll talk about
everything.
anything. I've got chickens.
Well, we just saw Holly, obviously, before us there with her doggy in today. I would happily bring my dog's much better behaved than an awful lot of humans.
Yes.
So I would happily bring my dog everywhere with me.
And that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
It would.
You brought yours in.
I brought mine
We
in,
got
my
a
little
clip of
buddy.
Cole with her.
Little buddy came in.
There
Oh,
we
no,
go.
that's Mika when I first
Yeah.
got her. You like, when I rescued her. Oh, my God, she's so tiny. She did come in that day and pee on the floor. There, look, she's having a wee-wee on the floor.
That was
There
just the
you go.
effects of
That
Janet.
was a bit awkward. Yeah. Yeah, she was scared of Janet.
Ain't we all?
But it's nice, isn't it? It's a nice feeling. It's a bit of an inclusive feeling, I think,
is,
when
yeah.
if you were allowed to do those sorts
Yeah.
of things. But again, it's down to the employers and everything else, isn't it? I do know that the Speaker of the House of Commons did say earlier this morning it is extremely important that the parents of babies and young children are able to participate fully in the work of this House. The advice given yesterday correctly reflects the rules. However, rules have to be seen in context and they change with the times, which I think is a slight opening to what might potentially happen. I have asked the chair of the Procedure Committee if she will look into this matter and bring forward recommendations. And if it happens there, it kind of has to happen everywhere else, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, interesting.